Okay, so little update from the last couple weeks or so. Like you said, didn't have one last week because we were gone to Shelby Fest, but I did get the dash in the car, as we can see here a little bit. Uh, Dash was mostly in. Um, it is sitting up there and in. I didn't put the bolts in and lock it down all the way because I got to get the wiring harness up in from the front and over there on the driver's side a little bit. I may have to pull the dash out to get a piece that kind of runs along the bottom there of the wiring harness connected in. So I got it sitting in there. I just don't have it bolted down. I don't know if it was from the accident of the GT500 or whatnot, but it didn't quite want to fit exactly straight in. So I ended up having to take my little Dremel tool and kind of open up a couple of the holes a little bit and also bend the one bracket over here on the passenger side, kind of bend that a little bit, and then it did finally get so that the bolts would go in and everything did line up. So that is done. I got the wiring harness here, the box, and was starting to run the wiring harness in. And as I got over to the driver's side there, I was lining everything up for the distribution block there for the brakes, and things when I went to put when I went to do it, the connectors are a little bit different, so I couldn't use the one that was in the car, so I had to use the GT500 one, which wasn't a big deal. I went to put it on, and I found out that the brake lines weren't fitting quite right. So found out that the brake lines appear to be different. The size of the brake lines I think is the same, but the actual, for some reason, the little connectors appear to be different sizes, which is very strange. I don't know why that is, but for some reason the sizes of the connectors is a little different. But so I grabbed the ones from the GT500 and swapped those out. I also found out that the connector for up here for the reservoir, the connectors down here were different, and the pin for the reservoir, the GT500 one's got 3 pins in there. The '07 had 2, so I had to swap that out. And then in the process of that, I found out that the bolt pattern on the brake booster was different. Also, for some reason, they reversed where the bolt holes are to put the reservoir on for some reason. This one has the one that's up is on the inside, kind of facing the passenger side, and on the '07 one, it's basically flip-flopped. The one that's up faces to the driver's side. So I had to swap out the brake booster and all that. And because of the front end accident, the brake lines, as you can kind of see, are all kind of jacked up there. And so I kind of bent them a little bit to kind of get them to fit, but then I kind of noticed and was realizing that, the top of the hood would basically be right here, and this is basically, almost dead even with the hood. And when I was looking at some pictures I took from Shelby Fest, it made me realize that what needs to sit right over here is off the supercharger is the cold air intake. And for this, it's going to be a fairly large air filter intake. So these need to basically be, come up to the point where they come up and then, just basically connect right in. So they basically need to be, bent right over. And I'm not sure exactly the best way to do that and to make them look nice. And since they're already kind of messed up, I think I'm just going to call the Ford dealer in the morning and see about getting the get 6 new brake lines, 2 from the master cylinder, and then the other 4, and see if I can just get those. Hopefully they're fairly reasonable from the Ford dealership. And the bracket that's kind of sitting on right now, I have to get that also, because the bracket itself is the same shape on the GT500. However, it's different because the one for the '07 actually has 2 posts that are in the bottom of it that piece sits on, and on the GT500 it just sits on like little rubber grommets, and then there's a couple bolts that actually go in instead of that. However, there is the one from the GT500, and kind of as you can see here, it's kind of jacked up. It got damaged pretty good there in the accident, so that will have to be, I'm going to order that, and like I said, see if I can get just those 6 brake lines also. So that's kind of where we're at. To swap all these lines, to swap the lines and stuff, took me like 3 hours yesterday. So unfortunately, not a lot accomplished here. It was slow going, and at the end of all that, I'm still going to looks like it didn't really matter per se, because I'm going to have to order new lines anyways. So unfortunately, just taken longer than I anticipated, which also means this car will not be going on the Power Tour, which is just a shade under a month away, because it's just not going to be done in that time. Also, other piece of bad news this week was the supercharger that I got, the VMP Gen 2R, that I had bought off eBay. When it got shipped to me, the post office damaged the box pretty well and messed up the supercharger. I mean, it must have gotten dropped or something hard, because there are around where the throttle body would go on. I mean, it's like something like dug into that, and it's hard to even describe, but something like dug into it. Now, I could probably have knocked it down with sander, and so got it smooth so that it would mate up, but it was just weird. And when I told the guy I bought it from about it, he put insurance on it, so he filed an insurance claim, and so I had to take it to the post office for them. I thought they were just going to take pictures of it or something like that. Turns out they did not. They had to actually take it to process the insurance claim. So I have no supercharger at all right now, because if you guys remember, I sold mine a while back. I'm just having not good luck with these superchargers, because this is now the 3rd supercharger that I have tried to buy and had problems. And I don't have a supercharger at all right now. And they don't know how long it's going to take to process that insurance claim, or what's going to happen with it, whether I get all my money back, or I get it back and they just give me a portion of the money back, or who knows what. And they couldn't tell me how long it was going to take. The guy I bought it from said he's going to stay on top of them to try to see how fast they can get it processed, but who knows? I mean, if it takes 6 weeks, my money's tied up in that. I don't have extra money to buy another supercharger, and so who knows how long that's going to take. But we're going to keep pushing forward and trying to get everything else done, the K-member and everything else, and basically get the engine back in, and basically just be waiting for the supercharger, hopefully for the whole thing to get processed. I am a little bit nervous about the fact that if they do give me, say $500 back, on it, or $1,000 back on it, and I get the supercharger back. It looked like it was cosmetic, that outside damage. That's a cast piece, so I can't just replace the part of it. I hope the rotors would be okay inside. That the first time, I revered about 7,000 RPMs or so, the thing doesn't come apart and take the engine or the hood or who knows what apart. So hopefully, if I end up getting it back, hopefully, it was just that cosmetic damage and the internals are okay. It's a crapshoot, but who knows? We'll have to see. Maybe I'll just be getting my money back. But I looked on eBay, and there are other Gen 2Rs on eBay, but they're going for more than I paid for this one, so that's not good either. So, but that's kind of the long and short of things. I guess more long than short of where we're at. So, not a lot of work to show, but a bunch of kind of background and some story about what's been going on to share with you. So, that's where we're at, and we'll keep pushing forward. Thank you very much. Bye.